Capricorn, this is your astrology forecast for April 2016. Thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today and to be able to give you this forecast. The Moon and Pluto are in your sign at the beginning of the month, okay? So you're going to enter April really feeling at ease with yourself, knowing what you're working on, and having a really fabulous sense of direction. On the 2nd of April, Venus and the midheaven start to conjunct each other. The midheaven is work, what you're supposed to be doing for work, what you'd like to do for work, what you're working on, okay? That's in Pisces in your 3rd house. So you're really interested, Capricorn, in communicating a healing, positive message. Venus is the planet of love and beauty. That's also in Pisces, very focused on helping other people, being nurturing, supporting, loving, taking care of. And also in the 3rd house of communication. So, you're going to be engaging with subject matter that is healing and nurturing and very positive. And it could be that you're either creating something that is healing and positive. So if you're a writer and if you want to write a self-help book, April is the best time to do it. But also if you're trying to heal yourself, if you're trying to get to a place of loving yourself, it's a wonderful time to do things like past life regression, to see what makes you the person you are, to look at past wounds, to look at past difficulties, so that you can pursue the dream of who you want to become. It's very much about the headspace here for you at the beginning of April, and really healing that through communication, through information, and you can make great progress there. On the 4th, so that gets stronger and stronger and stronger over the next day, until the 4th of April, when the moon joins all of that energy in the 3rd. And the moon is really your soul. It's what you feel comforted by, what's good on a soul level. And you will really have a very deep and profound access to your own innermost feelings, which we don't always have access to. You know, if I'm at the supermarket doing my shopping, I'm not kind of thinking, how am I feeling? Do I feel vulnerable and a little bit spicy? You know, you don't do that. And I'm sorry that was so silly, because I mean it quite seriously, that we don't always, we don't always navel gaze every day and analyze our own lives. Sometimes that's bad, sometimes that's good. At this time of April, it's a positive thing, because you can help other people and you can heal yourself. On the 6th of April, 2 personal planets change signs. So Mercury goes from Aries into Taurus, and Venus goes from Pisces into Aries. Mercury is the communication planet. In Taurus, communication becomes much more grounded and solid and structured, so you're easier to understand, but also your libido increases. You're just going to be much more interested in the romantic side of things and connecting with people on a physical level. You're also going to be more interested in your own body and the way you look. Venus in Aries in the 4th means that you're very interested in having an impact or being taken seriously in your family, and being able to, you love your family. I think that's really going to be heightened in April, but I think you feel like there are certain things that aren't quite right and you want to change those and to help people be better and to get on better. That becomes even stronger on the next day, on the 7th of April, because the new moon occurs and it pulls in more Aries energy into your 4th house. So you're really going to be interested in leading the pack in your family life, to do that in your own way, and you really do that from a loving place. Now, big alarm bells are going off in my head, because what is it? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And if you go and you say, listen, we're the Smith family and you people are all a bunch of idiots, I know how to do it and I know how we can be harmonious, and it's, for instance, through Scientology, let's all become Scientologies, the rest of the Smith family is going to go, pfft, So you're setting yourself up for failure there. If you think you can fix everyone else in your family life, it's nice that you love your family and that you want everything to be better, but if you put yourself in a position where I'm going to make this okay for everyone, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And I think you've got a great tendency to do that in April, and I would urge you not to. I don't see any good coming out of it. On the 9th of April, there's a grand trine in your chart, and a grand trine is an area of ease and talent. It connects your 9th, your 1st, and your 5th, Jupiter, Pluto, and the Moon. And really this gives you a great scope to make changes in your working life, especially where you work. It also gives you the ability to amend your education and your skills and to grow those and to change them so that you end up doing something that you really love. So don't focus so much on other people and how they should change and how they're not behaving well. Focus instead on you, on yourself, what you can do to make yourself happier, especially when it comes to your working life. That's going to be far more productive. That continues through until the 12th. On the 12th of April, the Moon starts to square the midheaven and Venus, which have now joined up together in the 4th at 2 degrees apart. The Moon is in Cancer in your 7th. And this is even worse now because you feel victimized. You're starting to feel like no one understands you and no one takes you seriously, even when you try and help them out. No one's interested, and that you're like Jesus nailed to the cross. You're like this martyr. I would give you, out of family and your perception of family relationships, like a 2 or 3 out of 10 this month. That's not your expertise. You're coming at it guns blazing. You're approaching it too much. You're full of ego when it comes to that, just the way these things are aligned. And the thing that I would give you 10 out of 10 with is your career, your education, money, and finance. That's what you're going to do very well with, and that's what I think you should focus on. So don't divorce your wife this month. Don't tell your mother you're never going to speak to her because she's selfish. Don't disown your little brother because he's, I don't know. Don't do it. You don't see things clearly, and you're overly involved in yourself. It's almost like you can't subtract yourself from the equation. On the 13th of April, there's a grand trine in Earth, and again, this echoes your ability to communicate and do well and make changes to your working life so that you'll really end up loving what you do. So think about what you're doing. Is it something you enjoy? Is it your life purpose? If not, ask yourself the question again. I'm sure you have in the past, but it's a great time where you can actually discover that in a practical way. Do some research. I think the answers are going to come not through some inner voice or like an angel whispering in your ear. I think it's going to be by doing something practical and seeing, hey, I love doing this. You know, like going to visit your friend who's a florist and helping her out and saying, oh my God, I love this. That's the kind of thing where I think you'll get inspiration from. On the 14th of April, the Moon starts to sesqui square Saturn. And Saturn is in your 12th house in Sagittarius. And spiritually, I think there's some frustration going on. And it's not just your relationship with other people that's somewhat charged emotionally, but I think also you're a little bit confused about what you should be doing spiritually. And I think that's the reason why you're putting more pressure on your family. You know, what's my relationship with God? Does God love me? Or has he put me on planet Earth to torture me? Is there something bigger? Does anyone care about my experience on Earth? Is the best yet to come? Or am I just here to just be unhappy? What is it? If that's the kind of thinking, it can often feel very alienating, and then you look for other people who love you and who want good things for you. So you go to your family, it's like, well, if you love me so much, then, you know, why aren't you calling me? Why isn't this happening? Why? Da, da, da. And it creates this whole atmosphere of me versus. You position yourself as this single unit and versus other people, why you're not getting your needs met. And go to the source, and if you have some sort of theological issues, then sort them out. I mean, we all have those. You know, we live on a very tough planet. The thing that bothers me, the question that comes up again and again for me is, if God is so good and loving, then why doesn't he intervene in all the suffering that goes on planet Earth? That, I know it's a very basic question, but that's something that is often very relevant to me. And if God is omnipotent and he has all the power and he's all-knowing, he knows what's going on, then why doesn't he put a stop to it, you know? And that's something that I have to revisit over and over again so that I can get to a place of peace and I can get to a place of, I have this relationship with a higher power without being derailed with my kind of intellectual objections to what goes on. I think that's something that's going to come up for you in April, and the more work you can do on that level and feel a greater sense of connection and union with something greater than yourself, the less pressure you're going to have in your relationships. On the 15th, there are two grand trines. One is in earth and one's in fire. The grand trine in earth really gives you this ability to change your work again. And fire is all about passion and enthusiasm and excitement. So if you work on your relationship with something higher, it's very, very likely that if you haven't discovered it already, you can really discover your life purpose and do something that really makes you feel enthusiastic and alive. On the 16th of April, Chiron begins to oppose the North Node, which is in your 9th house in Virgo. So you're really on a practical day-to-day level on the right track. Okay, you're making good decisions, you're working towards improving yourself, your skills, your knowledge, your job, all of that stuff. And then when Chiron starts to oppose this on the 16th, it interferes and it blurs things with emotion. And it blurs it with feelings. And I think you lose your way a little bit on the 16th in terms of you lose your momentum. On the 17th, you find that again because the moon joins your Jupiter and your North Node in your 9th. And it's like, okay, yesterday we had a little bit of a emotional moment. Let's get back to the goal. And the goal is to educate yourself more, to improve your skill set so that you can change your daily life and discover something that you love. That is the point here in the middle of April. And it might be that the day before you get really annoyed because one of your flatmates eats the cheese, or you have a paper cut and you cry uncontrollably, or you watch a sunset and you're just in floods of tears. You know, sometimes we're not rational. Sometimes the emotions take over and it's just like, what was that? And sometimes it's just a nice release. Sometimes it's a way of getting us reconnected with our feelings. Sometimes it's just, who knows, you know? But don't give yourself a hard time about it. On the 17th, you're back on track and you're moving forward. Oh, by the way, especially if family stuff, on the 16th, avoid like a barbecue or like a family wedding or something, because if someone looks at you the wrong way, you might get upset. On the 20th, the moon is in Libra, in your 10th house, and Venus is in Aries now, and they oppose each other. So there's conflict here between your family desire to do things your way and your work. I would focus on work, and again, the same as I've said for the rest of the month, work is really your strength. On the 22nd, the full moon occurs, and that's in Scorpio, in your 11th house of hopes and dreams. So you can really have a very strong understanding of what's been going on for you this month in terms of your emotions and the stuff with religion, spirituality, your family, by connecting during this full moon, doing a meditation and diving down. The Scorpio is fabulous because it's getting to the core of something. You know, it's ruled by Pluto, it's the underworld, it's really, let's swim past all the algae and all the fishes and get to the taboo subject matter that everyone's scared of. And you can really get to that taboo place during the full moon, and you can get some fabulous answers from that. The next day, and the 24th, sees the moon continuing now in Scorpio and opposing Mercury and Taurus. So you're going to be pushed and pulled between the desire to just focus on the body and focus on maybe running or making yourself feel better by having sex, or by doing something with your body that makes you feel good. We all change our feelings at times, and some people do it through eating excessively, some people take drugs, other people smoke, other people have sex, gamble, do extreme sports, whatever that is. And I think during this period, after the full moon, your body is going to urge you to thrill seek. And that doesn't need to be jumping off a bridge somewhere, bungee jumping. It can be as simple as raiding the fridge and saying, feel better, feel better, feel better. So there's a push and pull between getting your answers by diving to these depths and really meditating and discovering, and just zoning it all out by taking, you know, a Xanax and saying, okay, I'm done for the day. I would urge you to continue to discover and to look, because you'll get some real treasures and you'll get some real answers from that. The whole point of being on planet Earth is to advance spiritually. That's the whole point. So if you zone yourself out and if you numb yourself out, then you're not advancing, you're just making yourself feel better in the short term. And I know that's easily said, and sometimes things are terrible, and you have to kind of have a little bit of support, and that's absolutely fine. But if you're in a position where you have a choice, where you can either grow and learn and connect, or you can go jump off the Zambezi bridge or something, then I would suggest you do the connection thing. Inward, not outward. On the 26th of April, oh, and also I'm getting this weird thing now that you may have the desire to confess. I don't know what that means to you specifically, Capricorn, but I think you might have the desire to splurge it all out. Be careful with that. On the 26th, the Moon and Saturn and Mars conjunct in your 12th house, and that's real strength and connection with the spiritual side of things. So that's a big theme for you. I would give you like a 10 out of 10 for spirituality at this latter part of the month, because that's going to be an ongoing theme and you make some real progress there. It doesn't always feel lovely and easy, but you make real progress. On the 28th, unfortunately, Mercury goes retrograde. Sad face. Mercury is the planet of communication. When it goes retrograde, it just makes things difficult. You have to explain everything more, you have to be clearer, you have to find alternate ways of getting your point across. It's a pain. It's in retrograde until the 22nd of May. It's in your 5th house of romance and relationship, and that's where things will get most convoluted for you. Oh, darling, you have such pretty eyes. What do you mean my eyes are pretty? You just see me as an object. You know, that kind of misunderstanding. It's like, oh. 29th of April, the Moon squares Venus. Venus still in your 4th, causing that friction in your family there. It's weird that Venus does that, but it really does. And the Moon is in your 2nd house. And again, today really sums up this whole month for you, Capricorn, that if you have the choice, focusing on your work ideas and inspiration, or bossing people around in your family, or thinking you have a wonderful idea that your family is just going to adore, like showing them Polaroids, then focus on the work. That's where your success is this year. Not this year, this month. On the 30th, Venus finally goes into your 5th house, into Taurus, and that really sets you up to have a wonderfully romantic May, and it offsets that Mercury retrograde. Because Venus is the planet of love and beauty. It's in Taurus, the physical, in your 5th house of romance, and so is Mercury. And whereas Mercury goes backwards and makes things more difficult, Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, comes in and just kind of alleviates some of that misunderstanding and creates an atmosphere of love and comfort and connection and joy and all of those nice things. Okay, so that really gets you started here for May with 4 things in your 5th house of romance and relationship. Mercury, your part of fortune, the Sun, and Venus. All of them very, very positive influences. The Sun in Taurus, you go into May feeling empowered, strong, certain of what you're doing, which indicates to me that work has been very good this April, because it gives you feel confident about the future. Mercury communicating somewhat staggeringly with it being in retrograde, but then Venus kind of showering everything with a bit of charm and ease and grace and elegance. You know, it doesn't matter if you trip over a word or two. If you smile and you look wonderful and you make people feel at ease, then that's more important than using big words and being ultra cerebral. You can still get your point across. So that's what I see coming up for you in April here, Capricorn. If you would like a personal reading with me about your money or your love life or family or spirituality or your hopes and dreams, your education, anything, get in touch with me via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Just click on the readings tab and you can order your reading there. You can contact me by email. The address is readings@gregoryscott.co.uk. And I have someone look at the emails for me. So I read them, but someone helps me with them, because I do sometimes tend to get a lot of email. And then please remember to subscribe to the channel so you can see these videos and updated when new ones come out. And you can also find me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Gregory Scott 444. Have a wonderful April, and I'll speak to you next month.